The air inside the car felt suffocating, thick with the scent of her perfume, jasmine, sharp and sweet, the same one she wore the night we met. It used to make my heart race. Now it made my stomach twist. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, staring at the road ahead as Mia's voice cut through the tense silence. "Don't be weird, Jake," she snapped, crossing her legs and adjusting the hem of her short black dress. "I can wear what I want. I'm not your property." Her words hit like shards of glass. The engine's hum filled the space between us, but it wasn't enough to drown out the sting. She sat beside me, defiant, her posture a silent challenge. I didn't reply. My jaw ached from clenching it so hard. Was I being controlling, or was she deliberately testing me? The thought coiled tight in my chest. A warning I couldn't ignore. The familiar outline of my parents' house appeared ahead, its white siding glowing beneath the porch light. Usually it looked like safety, solid, steady home. Tonight it looked like a stage. Inside, the smell of roasted chicken and rosemary greeted us, warm and nostalgic. My parents smiled politely as we stepped in, though I caught the flicker of judgment in my mother's eyes when she saw Mia's dress. Dad, ever the peacemaker, offered her wine. She accepted it with a too bright smile, her laugh too loud when he made a small joke no one found funny. The conversation stuttered through dinner like an engine that couldn't catch. I focused on the clink of forks, the scrape of knives, trying to steady the twisting in my stomach. Mia kept glancing at her phone, her silver locket glinting under the light every time she moved. I'd never seen that locket before. The first buzz of her phone made me flinch. She silenced it quickly. "Work," she said flatly, without looking at me. My mother raised an eyebrow, but stayed silent. Another buzz. Another glance. This time her hand trembled as she replied to whatever message had come through. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, a late text from her boss, maybe. She'd been stressed lately. That explained everything, didn't it? But as she looked away, fidgeting with that unfamiliar locket, I couldn't shake the dread creeping through me. When dessert ended, my parents excused themselves to clear the table. Mia and I sat in the heavy silence that followed. I reached for her hand, wanting to bridge the growing space between us, but she pulled away, staring down at the tablecloth. "You okay?" I asked softly. She nodded once. "I'm fine." But her voice was tight, and her fingers twisted around the locket again, as if it held answers she couldn't give me. "Mia," I said, my throat dry. "Something's wrong. You've been distant for weeks." She gave a short, brittle laugh, the kind that didn't reach her eyes. "You're paranoid. It's just dinner. Relax." The words were casual, dismissive, but underneath I heard fear. Later, when she stepped outside to take another call, my parents pulled me into the living room. The familiar smell of lavender candles and old books should have been comforting, but my mother's face was pale, her hands twisting in her lap. "Jake," she said quietly, "we need to tell you something." My father stood behind me, his hand firm on my shoulder. "We saw Mia last week," he said slowly, "at the cafe on Elm Street." I frowned, not understanding. "So, she wasn't alone," my mother added gently. "She was with someone, and they seemed close." The room tilted. My pulse roared in my ears. "What do you mean close?" I asked, though part of me already knew. My father's gaze was steady but sad. "You know what I mean." For a moment I couldn't breathe. The air felt thin, my chest hollow. Every late night, every unanswered call, every tired excuse slammed into me at once. I wanted to deny it, to believe there was some other explanation, but deep down, I'd felt it coming. When I stepped outside, the night air was cold enough to sting. Mia was standing by the car, phone pressed to her ear. "I'll call you later," she whispered before ending the call abruptly as she noticed me. Her smile was instant, practiced. "Everything okay?" she asked too brightly. I wanted to confront her right there, demand to know who she'd been talking to, but my parents' words still rang in my head. I needed proof. Something solid. The drive home was silent. The city lights passed in blurs, each one flickering across her face. She stared out the window, one hand wrapped around that silver locket as if it anchored her. When we got home, she mumbled something about a headache and disappeared into the bathroom. I sat on the couch, staring at her purse lying beside me. My conscience screamed at me to leave it alone. But my hands were already moving, trembling as I opened it. Inside, buried in a side pocket, was a folded note. I unfolded it with shaking fingers. The handwriting was neat, familiar in its intimacy. Meet me at the usual spot. Miss you. C. The words blurred as my vision swam. C. Who was C? My mind conjured 1,000 possibilities, each one cutting deeper than the last. When Mia came back, I was still sitting there, the note in my hand. Her eyes widened, then hardened, the color draining from her face. Jake, it's not what you think. Then what is it? I cut her off, my voice shaking. Who's C? Why are you hiding this? She opened her mouth, then closed it again, tears welling up. Finally, she whispered. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear I love you. Her words sounded hollow, fragile. A lie dressed in apology. Something inside me cracked. I turned away, staring out the window. The city lights blurred into streaks of color through my tears. Get out, I said quietly. Jake, please. Her voice broke, but I couldn't look at her. I heard the soft click of the door closing, followed by the echo of her heels fading down the hallway. The house was silent again. I looked down at the note, still crumpled in my hand, the perfume of jasmine clinging faintly to the paper. My parents' voices echoed in my mind. We saw her. They were too close. And in that hollow silence, I finally understood. The worst part wasn't just her betrayal. It was that I'd seen the truth coming all along, and refused to believe it.